Hello, hello. Welcome to the MIO1MMA podcast, breaking down the most recent offering from the UFC warehouse of broken toys, the Apex Center. This card actually looked pretty good at one point. It's still better than the last offering we got at Winnipeg, but we lost Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley, which got rescheduled to another card. It's a little bit lame. Jeff Fio versus Lucas Rocha has been replaced by Jeff Fio versus Cody Durden. There was a heavyweight fight that changed a number of times. It was Alan Fry Jr. versus Max Jimenez. Then Marcus Buchecha versus Max Jimenez. And now Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spawn. That actually probably got better. I don't have a lot of faith in Fry or Jimenez. Fry maybe. Fry's like, I think fairly young and has like a pretty athletic background that he could maybe turn to something. Am I correct on that? Alan Fry is 28 and this is heavyweight, so that is young. And we also lost Yana Santos versus Norma Dumas. I would say that was downgraded with the replacement of Jocelyn Edwards versus Norma Dumas. That's a little bit weaker. Usual anti-betting rant here to top things off. Do not bet on MMA what you cannot afford to lose. MMA is a chaotic, non-reliable sport. It's, by its nature, very alarmingly unpredictable because of the small gloves. But on top of that, we have injuries, we have fight fixing, we have just some terribly unreliable fighters. And all of these things mean you should stay away from this with like big amounts of money. Just put a little bit aside, bet that. There you go. That's my personal opinion. I've said my strategy before where like I put a little bit of money from each paycheck aside. If it's gone, it's gone. And that's it. So the winnings either have to fund the gambling or not. Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal is the main event. And this is a pretty solid main event because on one hand, you have 29-year-old Yusuf Zalal who's ready for some things and seems like he's ready to be stepping up in competition. He's kind of dominated the mid-ranks and also was the Jack Shores, Yarno Aarons, Billy Quarantillos, Calvin Kattar, Josh Emmett's of the world. And this is a step up against a guy, a former champion, who is still very, very much, just by being 36 years of age, in his prime and still doing well, because even the losses Aljamain Sterling has had lately against Sean O'Malley and Movsar Evloev are perfectly fine. The O'Malley fight itself was very, very weird, but losing to Sean O'Malley is not actually a problem. And other than that, he's beaten Brian Ortega, Calvin Kattar, and Henry Cejudo. So he's still doing more than a fine job. And it's an interesting fight because there's a styles clash here. Zalal is a little bit more well-rounded. Sterling is a little bit more direct than what he wants to do, which is take you down, grapple you, backpack you, do his thing. And it begs a serious question of like, can Zalal stop the takedown and do what other people have done, which is outstrike Aljamain Sterling. He's been on a phenomenal run since coming back to the UFC after his first run was pretty bad, but in hindsight, pretty understandable. Losing to Sean Woodson, Ilia Topuria, and a majority draw with Damone Blackshear, those are all perfectly fine results. The loss to Subo Choi, in hindsight, still bad. But then he went outside the UFC, picked up a couple of wins, and has come back and now is on a 4-fight winning streak against the guys that I mentioned earlier. So, do I want Zalal to win? Absolutely. My only problem and my issue here is that I trust Zalal to be fairly smart, and not a lot of fighters earn that faith, that co-signing. But his history of beating people who pressure him and also bring a wrestling game to the table is still pretty weak. It's like none of the guys I mentioned are particularly pressure prone or heavy wrestlers. They have takedown games, don't get me wrong. Billy Quarantillo eventually does get to wrestling eventually. Jack Shore can wrestle and did wrestle. And of course Josh Emmett can wrestle. But he does not go there necessarily. He's a big power counterpuncher. And that's kind of the problem, is that the people who have beaten Aljamain Sterling when they've allowed him to have the front foot and allowed him to pressure is incredibly limited. And it's incredibly elite. It can be done. He got knocked out by Marlon Moraes back in 2017. He lost to Rafael Assunção back in 2017 as well. Brian Caraway also comes to mind. But it's been a long time. It's Sean O'Malley knocking him out and Movsar Evloev out wrestling him. And I don't think Yusuf Zalal is the wrestler that Movsar Evloev is. Which is no insult, because frankly, no one is. That's probably the best wrestler in the division, frankly. So I am going to go with Aljamain Sterling. He's going to start well. He's going to start hot. Zalal takes a little feeling in to get in there. And I really just, my only hope here, realistically, is that we don't see late round Calvin Kattar fight Zalal, because that will suck massively. Let's hope not for that. So I'm picking Sterling to win by decision, probably. He is the underdog, which is a bettable line, plus 110 to plus 122. Zalal is minus 127 up to about minus 148. So that's a bettable line as well. I don't think I touch it, but that's a bettable line. And I'm going with Sterling. Jocelyn Edwards versus Norma Dumas is a potentially boring fight, in the sense that these two girls, when they have their own way, are both fairly low output counter-strikers. Now, Edwards very seldom has her way and ends up having to come forward because she doesn't feel comfortable with her chosen game. She normally has to crash the clinch, she has to bully, she has to do the things that, someone who is who is massive and usually a lot bigger than her opponents, and also stronger, more beastly, more bullyish can do. I don't think that's going to work on Dumas. I don't think either option is going to work with Dumas. If she fights to her which is to go at range, she's a less technical range striker than Dumas is. And if she comes inside, Dumas has historically not been someone you can really bully. She's kind of built to resist that. She has a certain physical structure that allows her to largely get away with a lot. She's beaten Ketlin Vieira, who's a bit of a clinch bully. She's beaten Jermaine Durandamine, who can do that. Chelsea Chandler is and very bad, and do not go watch that fight. Chandler versus Dumas can burn in a fire straight up. But Carol Hossa, Danielle Wolf, Aspen Ladd, Felicia Spencer, these are all people who have tried to do that kind of thing to her, and it's not worked. Macy Chiasson did manage to do it, but it's Macy Chiasson, who is a pretty unique, weird fighter, and also didn't have to cut down to 135, so didn't have to murder herself, and then the massiveness that is Megan Anderson. So I am going to go with Dumas to win a fairly low-paced striking match, or to have a similar Irene Aldana thing where Edwards is crashing in and just eating all the crap. That is probably my hope, honestly. So Norma Dumas, she is a... You know what? I thought she'd be a bigger favorite. Minus 186 to minus 225. That's a bettable line. And Jocelyn Edwards is obviously a bettable line because she is a monster in this division, and at underdog odds, she is always bettable. Plus 178 is on the high end, down to about plus 165. Both of those have options. There's stuff to work with there. Rafa Garcia versus Anthony Hernandez. Listen, I like Rafa Garcia. I really do. He works really hard, but he does not work at a high enough pace, and he does not bring enough athleticism, and he does not bring enough pressure to beat Alexander Hernandez. Alexander Hernandez, as hit and miss as he is, as untrustworthy as he is, fundamentally loses to guys who are, for lack of a better term, crazy. Hanato Moicano, Drew Dober, Billy Quarantillo, Bill Algeo, Damon Jackson, Donald Cerrone. The only one close would be, I guess, the Thiago Moises loss that he had back in 2021, which was a very, very close fight. And Moises is a better athlete and a cleaner striker than Garcia is. So, do I like betting on Alexander Hernandez? No, I do not. But the athleticism and the fact that this is just a stylistic matchup that tends to work out for him means I have to take him. He's got the physical advantages. He's got the stylistic advantages. He is a minus 122 to minus 137 favorite. Garcia is coming in at plus 100 all the way up to plus 117. I don't think Garcia is bettable at those odds. I think Garcia to me, against anybody who I feel like belongs in the UFC, probably is unbettable at about plus 200 and below. So I'm picking Hernandez. I'm not going to bet on him because he is Alexander Hernandez, and I make it a habit to not do that. Next up, we have a pure heart pick here. I am picking Davy Grant to beat Adrian Luna Martinelli. The gamble here is that Davy Grant is 40 years old, and he looked really bad against Charles Jourdain. He looked very hurtable and eventually got guillotined. The guillotine, not a problem. Charles Jourdain has a very, very good guillotine. I'm not gonna hate on that at all. But it was the fact that it seemed like every punch Jordan was hitting him with was hurting him. And the fact that Jordan is a willing striker, he's an aggressive striker, he's a crazy man, but he's not a particularly powerful striker. It really does suggest that the durability of Davy Grant probably is gone. The only reason my heart is winning out here is the fact that I don't think Martinelli is particularly good, in the sense that I don't think he hits particularly hard. I don't think that he has a particularly game plan or way to lock a fight down. But he is really, really high-paced and really crazy. So he'll be fun. He had an incredibly fun fight on Contender Series with Mark Vogeldien, but I came out of that fight being like, okay, Mark Vogeldien is too short and has a style that's not meant for his frame. And Martinelli is just not very good. He is in your face, trying really, really hard, and will compete and scrap in every fight you have. He has a lot of scrap. So I am picking Davy Grant to win by decision because Martinelli is super durable. So I will go with that. But believe me, I will have no hesitation if people are like, well, I'm betting on Martinetti to actually win this thing because Davy Grant is freaking old. I'm not betting on Davy Grant, even at minus 125 to minus 130. On the other end, it is plus 100 to plus 110 on Martinetti. Onwards to Montel Jackson versus Hani Barcelos. Listen to me, Montel Jackson is potentially a great fighter. He has all the physicality in the world. 5'10", bantamweight is huge. He's a great athlete. He's strong. He hits hard. He wrestles well in spurts. He just does not fight at a pace. He needs to get away from Pura Vida, BJJ, and MMA because they are a gym that does not actually take athletes and impose their will on the fight. They fight very passive, very, very counter heavy, very... It doesn't work. Like the success Montel Jackson has had is all related in the fact that he's a really, really powerful fighter. And all of the losses he has had are all related to the fact that he just does not try hard enough to do a lot and can easily be kind of like shook and like, if you're not afraid of the fact that he's huge, he doesn't really know what to do. It's how he's lost to the aging ghost of Davidson Figueiredo and Brett Johns and Ricky Simone, and how his best win is still probably Julio Arce. It is a stunning waste of potential, and I wish it wasn't so. I wish really, 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 really hard. I guess Daniel Marcos is actually his best win, but that is a terrible fight. That I don't trust it. I'm going to go with Ronnie Barcelos, who's 38 years old and is old, but has seemingly found a bit of a second win lately, beating Ricky Simone, Cody Garbrandt, Peyton Talbot, and Christian Quinones. He's a very, very good wrestler. He's a competent boxer. He will pressure. He will go forward. He fights reasonably smart. He has decent defense. I assume Montel Jackson will not melt him right away because that's something we've never seen really happen to Barcelos. Outside of, I guess, no, even the Umar Nurmagomedov fight. Umar had to bring an incredible amount of pace to actually get that knockout. Like, it's a 4-minute, 40-second knockout, but I think he threw like 50 strikes. It's a bit insane. That's more than Montel Jackson likes to throw in a fight. So, yeah, and that's the thing with the other ones here. Like, Kyler Phillips came out and put a great pace on him. It's like, he gassed out. And then Victor Henry, famous pace fighter. Timur Valiev, famous pace fighter. Montel Jackson, about as far from a pace fighter as you can get. So, Ronnie Barcelos is my pick. He's my big bet also because he's plus 150, or plus 145 actually, to plus 163, minus 170 to minus 190 on Jackson. I feel really good about that. I can't say I feel really good about that because it's a 38-year-old bantamweight. But assuming that Father Time has not finally won his battle with Barcelos, this is a stylistic matchup for him. Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spawn. I don't know. I don't trust Kennedy Nzechukwu. Or pardon me, I don't trust Marcus Buchecha. He drew with Kennedy Nzechukwu, my bad. I don't trust Marcus Buchecha to really do well. He's a very, very, very good grappler, but the wrestling doesn't really work in MMA. His striking is pretty weak. I do think people who are calling him, like, saying that he has no chin and no ability to take punches are straight up wrong. This guy, did take a lot of hard shots from Umar Khan, who Rugrug may not be very good, but like, he hits hard, and he went the distance with both Kennedy Nzechukwu and Martin Budai. He's never been finished. Like, I think the chin is fine. It's just there's not a lot of defense to his game, and there's not a lot of good offensive striking to his game either. So that's not reliable. But Ryan Spawn looks fat, weighted at 264, is fat, And I don't ever trust him to really try. I don't trust him to be training hard in a full camp, never mind when he's coming in on late notice. Spawn could waste him in the first round, absolutely. He has that ability to do that to just about everybody, but he has the ability to completely fall apart otherwise. Ryan Spawn has had a career like that. His fights outside of the first round are losing to Waldo Cortez Acosta, Bogdan Gushkov, Anthony Smith in 2023. Ow. Beating Sam Alvey in 2020. And losing to Devin Clark in 2019. Losing to Luis Enrique Barbosa. I think that was Luis Enrique Silva. What's the deal with him being Barbosa now? Sidelining here for a moment. Luis Enrique Barbosa de Oliveira. Why was I getting his Silva in there? I don't know. Anyways, point is, if it goes very long, he'll probably fall apart. And he'll probably force feed Buchecha a submission. So I'm going to go with Buchecha. But like, if you're betting on this fight with anything but underdog intentions, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't think Spawn's even a big enough underdog to entertain that. Plus 110 to plus 127, minus 133 to minus 140 on Buchecha. Rodolfo Vieira versus Eric McConaughey. Probably not going to be a fantastic fight, but I got to take Vieira because McConaughey fights at too low of a pace. He's the guy who basically took up MMA way too late in his life. He took up MMA, I think in his 20s, ironically, but like, seriously, his MMA career didn't really start taking off until about, I guess 2018. But it's just, he fights at too low of a pace. And Vieira will probably get takedowns and probably get the win. I don't know. I'm never very confident in a Vieira pick because he's a nervous guy. And sometimes that absolutely backfires on him. So I'm taking him. I'm not betting on him. He's minus 264 to minus 305. That's a bit insane. McConaughey is plus 210 to plus 245. I really hope McConaughey doesn't win just because, not even anything against him or anything for Vieira. It's the fight that McConaughey wins outside of like just melting Vieira is pretty goddamn boring. So I don't want to see it. Cedric Dumas, Jackson McVeigh. It's a heart pick. McVeigh tries really hard and is trying to make the best of a not particularly athletic ability. Dumas is doing everything wrong, both in life and as a fighter. He's a big dude, but he seems to be actively getting worse. I'm going to go with McVeigh by submission, probably. Similar to the Josh Frem fight that Dumas had, but I don't know. They're not UFC caliber, and I'll kind of leave it at that. I'm not touching it. Jackson McVeigh is the favorite at minus 178 to minus 200. I'm not betting on him at those odds. And Dumas is plus 140 to plus 170. If I bet on Dumas, I'll probably get killed by at least 2 of my viewers. and as I should. I want to be clear here. The discussion around Dumas always goes to, I think, a very stupid place, which is people who defend him being on the roster by saying that, like, it doesn't matter that he's accused of domestic abuse and all kinds of things. Here's the thing. I don't want him cut because he's a criminal. I want him cut because he sucks and is getting worse. And if you need a business reason, he's bad PR and he's unreliable. He's had like 2 fights fall apart because he's under house arrest. What are we doing? Like, I don't know what he has on Dana White. But it's something, I guess. Mayra Bueno Silva versus Michelle Montague. I don't trust Mayra Bueno Silva as far as I can throw her, which is not that far. The problem with Mayra Bueno Silva is that her fighting style makes absolutely no sense. I'm not sure what she's trying to be. She has all the physical talent in the world to actually be quite good. People are noting that she's like not winning too much lately after she got busted for steroids against Holly Holm. I don't think it really has anything to do with that. I think she's just been facing people who don't instantly fall apart when she does something cool. That's what Jacqueline Cavalcanti, Jasmine Jasudavicius, Macy Chiesa, and Raquel Pennington have in common. They're hard-nosed. If something goes wrong, they don't fumble it. And if you look at the girls that Mayra Bueno Silva beat, back when she was possibly roiding the heck out of things, they're one of 2 things. They're either people who do fall apart when something gets weaponized against them. Jillian Robertson, to a certain degree, counts as this. Mara Romero Borello, Stephanie Egger. Or they're just woefully underwhelming athletes. And I'm looking at, with that one, you're looking at a Alina Landsberg or a Yanan Wu. Like, honestly, her run to the title was really just that Holly Holm victory, and it's Holly Holm well past her prime. And I don't think people really appreciated that Holm was not done. She was not far removed from a Yana Santos win, but like kinda done. Like really kinda done. And Michelle Montague is not a great fighter by any means, but she is very strong. She is very physically imposing. She is not physically lacking. She has a good idea of what she is, and she also has a reasonable amount of mental toughness, I think. So Montague to win over Mayra Buena Silva, probably by decision, because Buena Silva is like hard to finish and like still defensively savvy enough, but like she's just too formless for me to pick her. She's too reliant on like sudden bouts of offense. She is a sizable underdog. You could bet it, I guess, plus 300 to plus 340. And Montague is minus 390 to minus 431. 440, actually. I wouldn't touch Montague here. I'm not that confident. Cody Durden versus Jafel Fio. This is an unbettable line because I noticed that it's like really, really far apart, but I am going to take Jafel Fio. Cody Durden looked really bad against Toon Dembarel recently. And as much as I'm like very concerned about the idea of Fio just getting stuck on bottom, because for all the offensive grappling he does from top, his bottom game is kind of wretched. And he doesn't really have a way of even forcing scrambles. It's just that Durden looks so bad that I have to take Fio because Fio doesn't look that bad. Like, Durden's lost 4 fights in a row, and while they're all kind of individually understandable losses, and to be honest, they don't necessarily reflect poorly on him, he looks like a guy who's in a crisis of faith in himself. Doesn't look like he wants to be there, and it's kind of weird to see him back in the cage just over a month after that loss to Dembarel, who's not a very good fighter. He's a very raw fighter, has a lot of promise, but that's about it. Again, Fio is unbettable at minus 549 to minus 1115. Oh my god. Do not bet that. I'll probably put a small amount on the underdog here, Cody Durden, because he's plus 400 to plus 700. If I can get him for plus 700 or even in the sixes, I'm pouncing on that. I don't think he's going to win, but I'm pouncing on that. Francis Marshall versus Lucas Brennan is a pretty easy pick. I'm going with Marshall because I don't think Brennan is particularly good. His success is against guys who are just not very good. Like, his best win is Joshua Weems. The rest are basically, like, I don't know, regional level cans. He's not physically imposing. He's a really good grappler. He reminds me of Jamie Siraj we saw on the Winnipeg card, who got absolutely bombed out by John Yanis. Same thing here. Like, guy is a good back taker, good submission guy. He'll be fun if he can get people to grapple with him. It's just that they have no reason to. And Marshall is a perfectly competent grappler. I don't expect him to get caught in anything particularly. I mean, it's possible. Marshall's losses are all to just higher level stuff. The split decision losses to Myron Santos and William Gomes. I thought he beat Santos. I did think Gomes beat him. And lost to Isaac Dolgarian. But beat Dennis Bujukia, beat Eric Silva, beat Marcelo Rojo. He's serviceable. Like, he's not great, but like he's kind of like that barometer at the bottom of the featherweight division, essentially. And I don't think Brennan should really be here. Is what it comes down to. The betting odds suggest that I'm not alone on that, though I am not touching a minus 500 to minus 575 Marshall line. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'll probably put a small bet on Brennan, similar to the Durden one, where like, I don't want to bet on you, but like, that's a little crazy. He's plus 350 to plus 425. Max Griffin, 40-year-old Max Griffin, who doesn't look it, fighting Victor Valenzuela. Valenzuela is a weird signing. He lost on Contender Series last October, to Michael Oliveira, who isn't exactly, himself amazing. Hasn't even made his debut in the UFC yet. And otherwise, it's beating a lot of cans and losing to some actual cans. Like, he lost to Thomas Powell in 2021, which is concerning. Thomas Powell is not good. In fact, another loss of his, Evan Vasquez Matus, also not good. He's a violent guy. He's a good action fighter. He's not gonna bore you. But recently he beat Kinoshita, who was a UFC fighter who got melted by Billy Ray Goth and Adam Fugit in the first round. I'm just not moved. Max Griffin's reasonably durable. Like, he's on a 2-fight skid and all that, but it's to Chris Curtis and Michael Chiesa and going the distance with Michael Morales and beating Jeremiah Wells and beating Tim Means. It's not very convincing. It's not very good, but I kind of have to go with him here, don't I? He's a competent kickboxer. He's a competent wrestler, and Valenzuela is just not very good. So I'll go with it. This is not a late notice replacement either. That is not good. And then Toledo Alencar. Pardon me. Betting odds. Max Griffin is plus 114 to plus 120. I get it. He hasn't won a fight convincingly in a while. Valenzuela is minus 140 to minus 150. I just don't think he's all that good. So I'm still going to go with Griffin. But yeah, I understand him being the underdog. And then Julia Plastri versus Toledo Alencar. I've kind of said this. I just think Alencar is too small. That's really what it comes down to. She's a very diminutive strawweight. She's 5'1". She has the right style for that, where it's grappling heavy. But she lost to Stephanie Luciano. She beat Ryan Dos Santos, who's also an atomweight, and Vanessa Demopoulos, who's also an atomweight, and Ariane Carnelossi in a fight that... honestly, I didn't watch because I thought it had nothing to do with it, but I'm kind of curious now. How dumb was Carnelossi in that fight? Because that's the hallmark of any good Carnelossi loss. Here we are. No, she pretty soundly beat Carnelossi. Actually, it wasn't particularly dumb. It's a lot of takedowns. She scored a lot of takedowns against Carnelossi. All right. Maybe I should have gone back and watched that one a little bit more. I still have to go with Plastri. She's not a phenomenal fighter. She's not a great fighter. She's not even a particularly big fighter. But she's athletic enough. She fought off some Lupe Godinez takedowns, so I don't know. I don't. This is a fight that I'm not really into because it feels like both of these girls should be the test platform, and I'm not sure who we're supposed to be. I'm not really sure who we're supposed to be figuring out here. In a nutshell, Plastri did okay against Lupe Godinez and kept a good pace on her. Alencar is a notably worse wrestler than Lupe Godinez, so similar to the Corey McKenna fight, maybe? I don't know. It's not a good fight matchup-wise, but hey. Palestri's going to go out there. She's going to scrap. She's going to try and do something. And in terms of betting odds, Palestri is a pretty unbettable minus 250 to minus 265. If you're betting on this one, it's Alencar at plus 200 to plus 215. So I've got some long shot bets on Fio and Brennan coming up. I will also be putting a bet on Aljamain Sterling and a fairly sizable bet on who is my other one? Ronnie Barcelos. Those are kind of my hot tips, and like I said, even two of them are just because the odds are the Brennan and Durden are too far of underdogs against fighters who are just not that good. But there is that, and I'll probably put together something like a Montague parlay with Dumas maybe. Oh, and I'll totally put Buchecha and Spawn bet the under on that one. Bet the under because somebody is not making it past a round and a half because they're both so self-destructive. Anyways, subscribe, follow, etc. Social media is down below. Also, other places you can get this podcast and the Discord simulator, and which, by the way, is a fight simulator. I suppose you should say that. And video gaming stuff is down there as well. Have a look if you've enjoyed my voice and would like to have more of it in your life.